Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Wendy here. So I just wanted to do a book review today on one of my, oh my god, I love this book. This is such a wonderful book. The book is called Don't Cry for Me. Excuse me. It's by Daniel Black. You got to go out and get this book, guys. It is just unbelievable. The book is about a man that is dying, and he writes a letter to his son explaining, why he was the father that he was. And it is a very sad book, but also a wonderfully written book by this man, Daniel Black. And he, at the beginning of the book, he explains to his, why he made the mistakes that he did. He's writing a letter to his gay son explaining why the relationship between them was the way that it was. And, it starts from the beginning of his life. He explains his life as a kid and how, he was brought up by his grandparents, not his biological parents. And the way this had, changed his life into what it was. So, this man had a very hard life. He was beaten when he was a child, and he was showed no affection by his grandfather. He was just taught to work, just to go out in the fields, work. There was very little emphasis placed on education. And so, you know, he really didn't, everything was about survival. Everything was about survival. No emphasis placed on happiness or even wanting to do something that you loved. It was just survival all the time. um, I feel like this is a must read, especially for Black men, because I think in our culture, they are, you know taught that you have to be a certain way and not really show a lot of emotion. And this, is a perfect example of that. I was originally intrigued by his parents' life. Um, and I think that you can benefit very much from past and present family members' stories. This man had a lot of generational trauma in his life that really, was passed on, and so affected him. I think even when my kids were younger, I always told them stories about, people that were no longer here. And I think their stories have such an impact on how generations after them do what they do. My grandmother, whom I loved dearly, and I miss every single day, had such an impact on my life. She was like a second mother to me. Well, we grew up living with her. In fact, her and I shared a room from when I was like maybe 6 until like 11. And although it definitely had its challenges, I would give up anything just to have another day with her in that room. As you can imagine, there was a humongous age difference, but just the stories she would know. We both had twin beds, and she would tell me stories at night and about her life. And I didn't, you just don't realize at the time, but it was just such a gift that she was giving me every day, being with her, that it's tremendous. And a lot of the sayings that she would say really do, ring true today. She would say things like, never talk about your, other people's children when you have your own, because you don't know what's going to happen with them. And I found that to be super, super true. So just little sayings and things like that. She would like to peel potatoes by hand, like, with a knife, not a peeler. And I'm the same way, except I take like half the potato off. So to this day, every time I'm peeling a potato, I apologize to her because I can hear her in my head saying, "What are you doing? You're taking the whole potato." So things like that. So I think that children, it's so important to hear stories, because it defines who you are in a lot of ways and helps you to see maybe who you are, and things like that. My children were lucky enough to have met my grandmother for a short time. She was in their life, but I think that's such a gift, to have met her and hear her stories. So I know I went a little bit off on a tangent, but you get my point. And then, this man, there was no emphasis on education in his life. So he really, um, didn't really know a lot, because of that. But he was street smart. He was, everything was survival mode. And to find out that his son was gay, to a man that didn't have any skills in, not even just in parenting, but in, just emotional, like he had no emotional elements to his parenting. Like he just followed what he was taught. And so to get out of that box was extremely hard for him. He was brought up being, beaten, and by a very cold, hard man that just, did not show him any kind of love or affection. So that's what he grew up knowing. And if that's all you know as a kid, how are you supposed to get out of that box? How do you know what love is if you've never been shown? How do you convey love and affection to your children if you don't know even, the slightest idea on how to do that? So I felt very bad for this man in this book. He had, no wherewithal to even question things in life. He just was in survival mode. So, you know, you wouldn't know to question that there's other ways of doing things, especially in his parenting. So he does meet a woman that becomes his wife, and he doesn't really know her before they get married, but because she showed him some affection and attention, like that was enough for him. He didn't know that he was worthy of even being loved. So he just grabbed onto her and they got married. Again, he really didn't know her. And, was, she was actually she was very smart, way smarter than he was. And I think he knew that from the beginning. He started to actually resent this at some point because he knew that the household he knew, didn't involve a smart woman. So he kind of started to resent this a little bit, and you know, there begin to be some problems with that, with their marriage in the book. I don't want to spoil the book for you, so I'm just gonna. That's all I'm gonna say. Um, so he was told that whatever your parents tell you is the truth, and that's it. I always have told my children growing up that, just because I tell you it's so, I could be wrong. I will tell you, what I know to the best of my abilities, but don't ever be afraid to question me because I don't know everything. Children think that growing up that their parents know everything and that they're all knowing. And, I used to think that too. As you grow older, you realize that, that's not true. And I made a point of always telling my children, don't be afraid to question me. I'm not always right. And I think it's important to tell a child to tell them that, because sometimes they'll be very apprehensive about questioning you. And I never liked that. So, that just wasn't a part of his life. It's like whatever your parents told you was the truth, and that was it. There was no other way. So I don't agree with that, but that's what this man went through. And, you know, there's a quote in the book that he says about her, his wife. He says, "I loved her because she liked me," and that was enough for him. Again, this man had no affection in his life, nobody to tell him that they loved him ever. So it's like unbelievable to him. He didn't understand again that he was worthy of being loved. So he didn't know her very long, and they got married. He had no affection at home. And there's no character development in this book, if that's what you're looking for, because it is again, a book about a man that is dying, and he knows he's dying, and it's just his way of explaining to his son that, this is why he did the things that he did. And it's a very poignant, very well written story. And again, this man had a very hard life, and his son just wanted nothing to do with him because of how he was treated growing up. And you can understand that in this book, plus the fact that his son was gay, definitely didn't help their relationship, because it was so something that was so far removed from what his father ever knew, that that definitely didn't help their relationship. So, he knows he should have done things differently in his life, and he has tremendous regret. That's why he writes this letter, to explain things to his son, because he doesn't want to leave this world with his son not knowing that he loved him. That's basically the bottom line. And I just so because I have a son and I have a daughter, and I tell them I love them all the time, because I if I ever leave this world with one thing, I want my children to know that how much I love them. Oh, I'm starting to get teary eyed. Okay, let's get off the subject of that for now. So um, there's a couple of highlights in here that I did. A couple of quotes that I did highlight in here in this book. One of them was, we were taught what to think, what to think, not how to think. And again, that goes with what he, experienced as a parent. Um, it's just survival mode constantly. So they weren't taught that you can even think about things that you like, or even don't even think about doing something that you enjoy. That's not even, something that you can even do. So the other one was, he wanted very much to train his son to be like him. And that was something that completely backfired, as we know in the book, because his son did everything not to be like his father. So, that was another quote in here. And he also says, we were not unintelligent, just desperate to survive. So I don't think that, I think that this man, if he had the opportunity to get some education, even basic education, he would have been very intelligent and certainly would have done things differently. But he didn't have that opportunity. And the last one is, excuse me, we were taught eating every day was a big deal, and many times it was. So yeah, they had to work for their food, and many times they didn't have enough to eat. Mother would make recipes, and the only kind of nurturing that he would get is when he would sit with her and help her cook. That was her way of showing him that she loved him, without actually, being the type of parent that could convey those feelings to their child. So it was very, very difficult for this man to even have a relationship with anybody, let alone a humongous, um, role of being a parent. So, I can't say enough about this book. I absolutely loved it. So go out and get this book. Don't cry for me. You have to get this book. Um, and so that's my book review. Like I said, guys, I'm going to do like short TBRs, a couple of books. I'll do book reviews mixed in. I just don't do like big stacks of books and 3 or 4 reviews at once. I like to concentrate on one thing at a time and really give you an in-depth feeling of the book. So that's just how I like to do things. So hopefully you guys like that, and will continue to tune in. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. I appreciate every one of my subscribers so far. Please leave comments too. I haven't gotten a lot of them, but I love seeing comments. Please let me know if you've read this book, what you like about it, and any memoirs that you like. I love memoirs. That's my favorite genre, like I told you guys. So yeah, I'd love to hear from you. Anything. Give me ideas that you'd like to see on this channel. I'd love that too. I can use all the help I can get. So yeah, I wanted to say as a side note that I really love this community of booktubers. I've watched this channel for a few years, and I was very hesitant and really procrastinated about getting my own channel, but my daughter really helped me a lot with that and kind of gave me a little nudge, and gave me a lot of inspiration. I'm so proud of her. I mentioned her on my Instagram channel. It's ASMR underscore Jess. She has a wonderful ASMR channel. She's a fantastic ASMR artist. She has really grown a lot in her channel. So keep hitting that like and subscribe button and subscribe to her channel if you like ASMR. She's also quite beautiful to look at. So you will not be disappointed. Um, yeah, I am just so thrilled to be part of this community. Everybody is so supportive and they've given me little tips that I've asked for, just very helpful. And I really love that about the community, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to join, besides the fact that I love to talk about books, and I love reading. So, and I wanted to say, speaking of family, that I get my love of reading from my dad. My dad is no longer here, but he was an avid reader and was so intelligent, and he knew so much about so many subjects, and I believe it's because of his love of reading. So I I am so happy that he passed down that um, love of reading to me, because it's a gift that I'll always have, I feel, because of him. So yeah, so thank you for tuning in. I am going to be dropping videos on Mondays and on Fridays, so be sure and tune in. And that's it. So thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you later.